morning, this is David Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire, and we're pleased to be with you for another video. I got a box in the mail the other day. I knew I was going to get this box, and when I opened it up, inside was just a gorgeous knife. I'll show you a little bit about this knife, tell you a little bit about this knife, and do some tests on it. Rob from RDPProject has made this knife, and you can see it's just a beauty. It's got a little logo on there, as well as on the back. It says Rob Phillips, the maker. When I took it out of the box, first thing I noticed, looks a whole lot like a Tom Brown Tracker miniature. It has a double bevel, which I find extremely useful. I like the Tom Brown Tracker. This is a Scandi edge, and it's used for fine, sharp cutting. And this is more of a double bevel, almost kind of a semi-convex edge, and that's used for chopping purposes. And when I went to feel this knife, I thought, you know, this knife has been in the hands of some world famous people. I'm holding the same knife that Hobex and Sepp and Pinewood has held, and this thing's still sharp. I don't know if they sharpened it or not, but this thing will still shave hair off my arm after it's been used. So now this knife is made out of a 440C stainless steel, and it's been hardened to about a 58 to 59 RC. The handle, the scales are deer antler, really nice, feel comfortable in your hand. And then you can see there's brass scale liners there. Also the center liner is made out of Australian beefwood. Rob Phillips, for those of you that don't know, is from Australia. There is a nickel guard on here and some nickel tube pins. These pins are pretty interesting. You can use them for a lot of different things. One of the things you can do is to put a piece of wood. Let me get a piece of wood here and show you. You can get a piece of wood and you could attach that with 550 cord to that wood and use it for a spear kind of thing. So it's an interesting concept to have that on there. But Rob asked if we could test this knife out, show it to you in the field with some of the things that we would do with the knife. And so I want to take some time and do that. Again, this is the Bushcraft and Wilderness Survival Knife by Rob Phillips. One of the first tasks that we get out in the bush, obviously, is to do woodworking, whether it's from fire making, creating crafts, etc. And so I think one of the most important things that we got to be able to do with our knife is to be able to make fire. So I've got some branches here. This branch is about 1 inch in diameter, and just do a little bit of chopping here to see how this will chop this wood. Okay, so what I want you to see is, while it can be done, this knife is not made to be a heavy chopper. It's not made to chop down trees. It's not made to, you know, cut through 6-inch trees like some of the bigger knives out on the market. But it will do the job if you have to get in there and chop something down. Might be the hard way to do it. One of the better ways to do this may be to baton through this wood just using another stick. Now, one of the things that will make this profitable with this knife, and it's a good trick to remember, is because this has this Scandi edge, it's going to be very sharp. So I'm going to actually put part of the Scandi and part of the regular edge on there and just baton through this. And that's a pretty effective and efficient way to get through smaller blades or through smaller pieces of wood that you need to cut out there in the woods if you don't have a big chopper. Alright, well, here's an old dead dogwood, but it's still big enough that I'm not going to be able to get up there and break this down just in my hand. I would say that this tree is about 3 inches around. I'm sorry, 1.5 inches in diameter, maybe 4 or 5 inches around. But let me go ahead and work on this for a minute or two, and I'll be back with you. I'm about halfway through this tree now. I guess it's been about 2 minutes. You want to see my baton. Okay, Rob has put a kind of a beveled edge back here, and he calls it a sedge. And what this is for, he is taking this down a little bit so that it has less weight on the knife. Honestly, Rob, I'd like to see more weight and have a good edge on here. Maybe a flat off edge the whole way. And I think that would help a whole lot, especially beating up my baton. Also, give me a little more weight to the knife to do a little bit larger chopping tasks. Alright, I got most of the way through this inside to go to a regular chopper kind of deal, and there we go. Got that tree off. So let's take it back up to the camp and see if we can make some firewood out of it. Now Rob has squared off the back of this blade, and you guys can see I got a boo-boo. That wasn't from the knife, I actually hit myself with the baton. But this back edge here has been squared off to help remove bark easily. And it seems to be doing a pretty good job at that. Pull that bark right off that tree. You can see how hard that wood is, which is why I chose dogwood. We live in a oak hickory forest, and we have hardwood here. So this is a very good test for this knife. See how it'll handle these harder woods. We're not playing with cottonwood or a willow right here. This is some hard stuff. So it's going to really put this knife to the test. Alright, so let's take baton another piece off of this. Once I get that done, we'll cut it into fire sticks. Okay, so we've got some wood here. Go ahead and put that on here. Now, this knife will definitely make short work of this wood. Splitting it out, making some feather sticks. So what I'm doing now, I'm just taking a couple of these sticks, making some feather sticks. And I'm afraid that I've dulled this knife quite a bit doing all that chopping with it. So it does hold an edge pretty well, but with what I've already put it through, I'm probably going to have to retouch that edge a little bit to get this to a... But you can see it's still making some pretty fine feather sticks. And being this is a very, very hardwood, we're not going to get those long, slender slivers off of it. Let me get a couple of these feather sticks made, and we'll be back with you. Alright, so I'm just making a few passes over this with the ceramic rod that I carry with me. And should finish that edge back up nicely. I think this knife holds a real good edge after the test we've already put it through. We really did some heavy stuff. Let's see how that works now. Oh yeah, takes the hair right off. So we're back into shape. I've got a couple small branches here. I'm going to, I've got some elm as well. Elm's going to be a little bit softer for us than that dogwood. So let me go ahead and scrape some of that bark off again. Tell you, even though we're getting a little bit of break in the weather, today's still a hot one. It's about 87 degrees out here, even in the woods. And the heat index right now, I guess, is about 100, 105. So it's pretty warm. So let me go ahead and split this down for you. Let's see how this will split out some wood for us for fire. Won't have to work as hard with this. Okay, so I got another piece of elm here. Let's go ahead and try and baton this a little bit, see how this works. And you can see that does a real nice job splitting that wood out. Stays right in the line. Does what I need to do. So I'm going to go ahead, prepare a little bit of this wood, and we'll see if we can't get a fire going here. Another way you can split sticks out, if I've got a flat one like this, I can put my knife right on the edge, just hit right straight down the center of it. That's one of the nice things this front blade is for here, because that'll make a nice split in that wood for me. And that just separates out nicely, so it doesn't take just a few minutes. Now let's do a feather stick with this elm. This will probably do a little better than that dogwood. Get past this outer bark here. There we go. Oh yeah, you can see the nice, long, thin feathers coming off of there. So we ought to be able to get us some good fire making material here. Alright, I've got another piece of wood here. Now this is about 1.5 inches across. It's a piece of hickory. Again, a nice hardwood. I'm going to try and split this down. I really honestly wouldn't split things much bigger than this out in the bush. Too much energy. But let's try this. Our baton's about had it here, but you can see that's sliding right through there. And there we go. So we got that split down. Let's get a fire going. Alright, we got the fire started here. So what I'm going to do while the fire is burning is prepare a little bit of food to eat. Find me a green stick to cook it on. We've got no utensils out here today, so no way to cook. I really do, but I'm pretending like I don't. So we'll go ahead and get something to cook this with. Be right back with you. I'm just going to baton that down. Right through there. Come up to the other way for a minute. And there you go. Quick and easy way to get a small branch off. I'm going to go ahead, skin this out a little bit. Skin that. Nice job with that. Clear that little knot off there. Whoop. There we go. I've got a potato that I bought with me, so let's go ahead and slice through this. And that's nice. Does a real fine job. I'm going to actually go ahead and kind of cut this potato into pieces, make a shish kebab out of it, along with some tomato and onion. Leave it sit up here so we don't get it filthy. And about this big is good enough. Get it too big, it won't cook right for you. Got a tomato, an onion here as well. And I'm just going to take and slice this onion a little bit. I'm not going to use the whole thing today. That's probably good enough. Go ahead and slice that in half. We'll be able to put that on the kebab. And a tomato. Let's see. Just for a tomato, I better get my rag out here. Put on here or else we're going to have a mess. I'm going to put my bandana out. Another good reason to have a bandana. But look at that, boys. Slices through that tomato just beautifully. Like a butcher's knife, eh? So there we go. Tomato, onion, and potato. I'm going to put these on my kebab. Get them going over the fire. Those of you that make kebabs ever, there's a trick to doing a potato. Some people just push it on. I kind of try and drill through it. And I hold the potato tight. That way it doesn't split my potato out. The onion, you want to pretty much do the same thing. Again, you don't want to have, of course wild onions would be a little easier. I could just tie them on there. And the tomato has its own hole in it, so I'm just going to slide that through there and let the skin hold on to it. Put another piece of potato on the end to hold it all together. Looks like a pretty good lunch. So let me get this cooking over the fire. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my kebab here, put down near the fire, put a little rough on the end to hold it in place. Then I don't have to sit here and hold it the whole time. So we're going to let that go ahead and go for a few minutes. Turn it from time to time. I'll be back with you in just a few seconds. Okay, real quick while we're doing this, I didn't start the fire today with a bow drill, but say I wanted to make a bow drill set. See if I can quickly fashion a bow drill set out of this, show you how this knife would work for some other tasks. I'm just going to kind of skin this out here. Give me a fireboard. The fireboard's really the hardest part of a bow drill to make. And again, this isn't as heavy a chopper as I would normally use, but it does the job. I can get that board cut out pretty well. Smooth this off a little bit. Flatten it out. Go ahead and make our notch in here. We'll just make a small notch to start. And because this has a drop point on it, it's good at notching. You can see it cuts right in there. Gives me a good divot to start my hole. I can go back in, cut my notch out, because again this Scandi is a nice sharp edge on here. That's going to give me a good divot. So just a few cuts there, and I've got my bow drill board made and ready to go. So I've got a small fire steel. This one's almost wore out, but let's see if it does shoot sparks. Oh yeah. So that would definitely light a fire. So that's a good little divot on there. And again, Rob says that you can use it to scrape bark off of a small branch. So you can see that takes that right off of there. I'm just setting that into, and that skins that out real nicely. So for something smaller, maybe you can use it for making a stick to cook on, possibly shaving arrows down, or skinning a small branch. That works real well. Well, I want to thank Rob for giving me the opportunity to test this knife out. Rob, I think it did a real good job. The knife is plenty sharp, and with that Scandi it makes it very nice. This double bevel, it's a good blade, and there's nothing wrong with this knife for an everyday bushcraft knife. A couple of the things that I found personally right here. Number one, this bone handle. We have very high humidity today. You can probably see I'm sweating. There's bark stuck to me. The handle slipped a little bit in my hand. It gave me a little bit of slippage, which wasn't terrible, but it could be dangerous in a situation. Also, this knife is a pretty thin knife, and you can see that it's, I'm going to guess, 3/16, between 1/4 and 3/16 of an inch. And for my taste, this is not quite heavy enough for what I would like to take out into the bush as a chopper. But a hunting knife, top notch, excellent knife. If I was going to do chopping, if I was going to do a lot of batoning with this, I would probably choose a little bit heavier knife. But Rob, I think you've got an overall great knife here. I think it's proven. Some top-notch people in the industry have done tests on it and have shown that it's really a class knife. So this is David Wendell from BushcraftOnFIre, the RD project. I want to thank you for being here with us today, allowing us to test this knife out and show you what it's all about. Hope that you have a great day. Join us again for another video. Good lunch.